Welcome back to the Haunted Beard, everybody. Thanks for joining me. So, I felt like doing another tier list video. Haven't done one in a while, and with Texas Chainsaw having just finished that series of reviews, I've now reviewed and ranked 8 horror franchises on my channel. And I thought it'd be a cool idea to do a huge tier list ranking video from every movie out of all 8 franchises that I've now reviewed on my channel. So, that's what we're doing. So today we've got movies from Halloween, Nightmare on Elm, Scream, what else? Final Destination, Child's Play, Saw, The Exorcist, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 8 franchises, 66 movies. Here we go. All right, here we go. So, as you can see, we've got all our movies in the bottom, and I've got 6 tiers here. We've got all-timer, really good, pretty good, mid, bad, and dumpster fire. So, let's do it. All right, first up, we've got the classic Halloween, and of course, this one is going all the way in the top tier. Whoops. Yeah, look, I mean, what else is there to say? It's a great movie. It's a slasher classic. This was the only Halloween film I had actually seen prior to doing my review series on it, and it's amazing how much my just admiration for it and how much I liked it, how much all of that increased and grew after having watched the rest of the franchise, because nothing else really comes close to it, kind of thing. So you get so much more appreciation for it when you see all the other attempts that people bring to the table, and none of them can quite do what Carpenter did. This is the way Carpenter executes just the presence of Michael Myers, the omnipresent evil, where he is just this figure who's always there lurking in the background and stuff. I love it. And how he is able to just squeeze every last drop of suspense out of, the lead up to the kills and stuff like that. It's just great. So, yeah, Halloween, all-timer. So, next up at Halloween 2, I'm going to put this one at pretty good. Come on, there we go. Yeah, this is one, it pairs pretty nice with the original film. I like that it starts immediately after where the first film ends. It still has some pretty good stuff in it. The hospital setting's kind of cool. I don't like that Laurie Strode is largely missing up until really kind of the end of the movie. This, though, it kind of feels the most similar in terms of style to the original, but really, to me, it kind of just feels like somebody other than John Carpenter is trying to do John Carpenter. And it's just obviously not as good. So there's still some good stuff there. The finale's kind of fun. There's a cool, chase sequence with Laurie in the hospital, the whole fire stuff. There's a couple good kills in there. But it's just, it's not the original. It's just not on that level. All right, Halloween 3 for me. Halloween 3 I'm going to put in bad. I like the idea. I like the original concept that Carpenter had to kind of turn this into an anthology thing and just do totally different stories that are set on Halloween. And this is a film that has 2 elements in it that I think are good. The score is pretty solid, and it has some pretty solid kills. But outside of that, everything else in this, I didn't really enjoy. Namely, I just could not stand Tom Atkins' character. This guy, to me, was a scumbag and just not a likable character whatsoever. I didn't really find the plot all that engaging either. And so, for the most part, I just didn't really enjoy this one. So, yeah, I wasn't a fan of Halloween 3. Next up, Halloween 4, and I'm probably going to be a little bit lower on this one than most people. I know most people like this one quite a bit, but I'm going to put Halloween 4 at mid. I think the main reason for this one is I thought the kills were kind of lackluster. Yeah, the kills I found to be pretty underwhelming. I like Danielle Harris. She's pretty good. The ending is the best part of this movie. I really like the ending. But the rest of it, I just found kind of mid. The kills are lackluster. The story is all right. But yeah, I was just kind of underwhelmed with this one. So next up, Halloween 5. And I'm probably going to be a little bit higher on this one than most people. But this one's also mid. And I think expectations were a little bit a factor here because before having seen it, I just remember so many people kind of gang up on this one and have it towards the very back of their ranking. Yeah, what's her? I can't even remember her name. Is quite an annoying character, but I thought the kills in this one were better than Part 4. I really wish they would have continued the storyline trajectory of how they ended 4 into 5, but they kind of like retconned that and did a whole totally different thing. But I do like, again, Daniela Harris here is pretty good. I like the kills better. Yeah, it's got some annoying issues and stuff like that, but it's all right. It's mid. All right, Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers is going in the good old dumpster fire. This is actually my least favorite of the franchise. And I constantly, every time I think of this movie, I just come back to the ending scene where you've got Michael Myers coming after Paul Rudd, and he says some magic words. You know, I think he throws some rocks on the ground, says some magic words, and there you go. Problem solved. We're all done. To me, it is just the worst, and it's terrible. It's terrible. And the rest of this movie is pretty awful as well, but the climax is inexcusable, and I hate it. So, yeah. Halloween H2O, we're going to bring this one all the way up to really good. Quite enjoy this one. It does have some kind of, generic 90s slasher stuff in it. There's a handful of really lame jump scares, but this one has some good sequences in it for sure. I really like what they did with Laurie Strode's character in this. There was a lot more kind of emotion and drama brought into her character, and particularly her relationship with her son, Josh Hartnett, and stuff, that I thought was really well done and executed quite well. So that worked really well for me. There's some really fun scenes. This one, too, has a lot of good kind of nods back to the original film in terms of how some of the kills and stuff like that are presented a little bit. And yeah, I just had a good time with H2O. It's actually my second favorite in the franchise. So yeah, it goes up in really good for me. Next up, Halloween Resurrection, and this one is going in good old dumpster fire. Yeah, it's terrible. The only reason why I rank this one notch above Halloween 6 is because, as terrible as Busta Rhymes is, he's awful. There are a couple moments that are so bad they're pretty hilarious. The rest of this movie it's just awful. Nothing about it works. Kills suck. There's no good tension or suspense. The characters are awful. It's just all around terrible. And then the whole climax with Busta Rhymes electrocuting Michael Myers in the junk. Yeah, nothing else needs to be said about this movie. It's awful. Anyways. All right, Rob Zombie now. Rob Zombie's Halloween for me is, I'm kind of between mid and pretty good. I'm going to go, I'll be a little generous. I'll put it in pretty good. Here's the thing. That opening half hour or so, I don't like. I feel like most people don't really like it. I don't want to know the origin story, the background, the childhood of Michael Myers. Don't really need to know it. Kind of the typical complaint. Just some of the dialogue and stuff is just awful and unnecessarily crude and just gross. But then, once you get past that opening third or so, you get a pretty nice little condensed version of a Halloween movie that I quite enjoyed. I like Scout Taylor Compton. I like Daniela Harris. Um, yeah, I mean, I like the visual style that Zombie brings to it. I like the intensity and the brutality and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, if I was to rewatch this one, I would honestly probably skip that opening half hour and just jump right into it, and from that point and enjoy the, you know, the rest of the movie as a kind of a shortened down version of Halloween. So Halloween 2, all right, everybody, get ready to hate me, but I know I'm in the minority. I really I really like Halloween 2. I know probably almost everybody watching this video just probably groaned. There's a collective groan amongst everybody watching it. I know I'm in the, it's an unpopular, that might be my most unpopular opinion, but I just kind of like it. And I totally understand the issues and the complaints that people have with it. And I totally understand, you know, a lot of the stuff with Michael Myers' mom and the White Horse stuff. It's kind of ridiculous. It doesn't feel like it belongs. How he handles the character of Loomis kind of betrays Loomis and all that. I get all that. But to me, this film feels so singularly its own thing. And I like that Rob Zombie basically, at least to me anyway, was just like, screw it. I don't give a crap. I'm going to just make the movie that I want to make and do whatever I want to do. And I can't help but kind of just admire that and respect it. This is a movie that, you know, there's 13 of these, right? And, you know, you get to some point in a franchise where they kind of all just start blending together, and there's not too much to differentiate between one and the other. I feel like I'm going to say that again when I get to the Saw movies, but this is one that really kind of stands out as something unique and different. And, you know, I really like the scene in the field where Michael Myers kills those guys in the truck. And then I think the scene later on in the film where Scout Taylor Compton comes back home and sees the aftermath of the attack on Danielle Harris and how Zombie cuts back and forth between what happened and what she's seeing. Man, I think that is a phenomenal sequence. I love the way he edits that sequence there. And then Brad Dourif seeing his daughter in the bathroom. Dude, phenomenal. I think it's just great. So, you know, I guess to me, I like it more just because of how ambitious and Rob Zombie was just like, you know, I don't give a crap. I'm going to just make my own movie kind of thing. So I guess I just kind of respect it and appreciate it for that. So anyways, yeah. All right. Halloween 2018. Let's see. I'm going to put this one in. Yeah, I'm going to put this one in pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good, and I wish that they could have maintained that level and kind of continued on that trajectory, because the next two are not going to be that high. Have some issues with it. The way he handles the new kind of Loomis character, the doctor guy, I don't remember particularly caring for. There is some good stuff. You know, you get some of those nostalgic kind of vibes and stuff like that with it that are pretty effective. I like the kind of the showdown, the finale that you get at the end with Strode and Michael Myers. The stuff, the attempts at humor though, are pretty terrible and don't land at all. That's really the worst thing about this movie. If you kind of look past that, the rest of it is pretty good. So enjoy it. It's pretty good. That's why it goes in pretty good. So Halloween Kills. You know, this is a weird one. Man, this is a weird one. The opening half hour of this movie is like pretty great. The scene where Myers is outside the house on fire and fighting and killing off all the firefighters is a great scene. One of the best scenes in the entire franchise. But then after you get the halfway point, once the town of Haddonfield starts rising up and, you know, you get the angry mob and Evil Dies Tonight, this movie just slowly progresses and gets worse and worse and worse and worse to me. So I have no idea what tier to put it. I guess I'll put it on mid. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on mid. I don't know if I would overall still say it's a bad movie, just because that opening half hour is pretty solid stuff. But the rest of it, I hated how they portrayed the town of Haddonfield, because you're so fed up with them and irritated with them by the end of this movie. I'm kind of just like, yeah, I wish Michael Myers would go in there and murder every last one of them. But yeah, anyways. All right, Halloween Ends. Yeah, where do I put this? This is a movie that, this is such a, well, I've never really seen anything like it, because this movie is such a curveball. You know, a lot of times when it comes to movies, you know, you'll hear the criticism of like, well, they had a good concept, but they just didn't execute it well. And I feel like the exact opposite is true of this movie, where the concept is terrible, but they execute it pretty well. So let me explain. So the idea to have the concluding chapter of this trilogy basically be about, you know, have almost nothing to do with Laurie Strode and the Michael Myers showdown, and introduce this brand new character, Corey, is the most baffling, insane decision that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So just that core, that concept is a horrible idea, because it does not belong in the Halloween universe. However, the film, devoid of the Halloween universe, is pretty well done. I like Corey's character. I like kind of the character arc that he goes on. And so, like, you have an interesting character that has some just interesting stuff about him. And so the opening scene too, with him at the babysitter and stuff like that, really good opening scene. I like his character. And so it's like they execute, like, the film is well made. It just totally doesn't belong in the Halloween universe, because it's such a letdown and a disappointment to get the concluding chapter of the Michael Laurie story and it feature like no Michael and Laurie. So yeah, you know, it'd be like, you know, you get to the ending of the original Star Wars trilogy, Return of the Jedi, and, you know, we're finally going to get Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, only Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader are in like 10 minutes of the movie, and we're following all these new people that we've never met before. It's just like, what is happening? What's going on? This doesn't make any sense. So that's Halloween Ends. Okay, so yeah, where the heck do I put it? I have no idea. I'm going to just put it in mid, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to put it in mid. That's where it's going. All right. There's the Halloween films. Let's move on to Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street is going up. It's an all-timer. I made a top 100 favorite horror movies of all time video not too long ago. Nightmare on Elm was in my top 10. I can't remember exactly, but it's in my top 10. I love it. It's just great. Yeah, it's great. Awesome final girl. I love the creativity of introducing making a slasher movie with the creativity and imagination of the dream world. Every creative decision that Wes Craven made in this is the right one. I think it's excellent. I absolutely love it. It's got two of the greatest kills of all time as well, and you probably know the ones I'm referring to. So, yeah, there you go. Nightmare on Elm, all-timer. Nightmare on Elm 2. Nightmare on Elm 2. Oh boy. I don't know if I'd say it's bad. I'm going to put it mid. I feel like I'm being a little generous. This is one, I don't like what they do with, they really kind of change up the Freddy rules. You know, he's now out officially into the real world, which I don't really appreciate, because they kind of undo everything they've established in the original film. So I don't really like that. And I just don't, there's just not a lot about this that's very memorable. I think it has one good kill sequence where Freddy's busting through the dude's chest. That's pretty cool. You get some good practical effects, but the rest of this, it's not very memorable to me. And the scene, I remember the kill scene of the gym teacher is, you know, it's just kind of corny and goofy. The story isn't much to write home about. It's okay. The characters are okay. I can respect that the movie is kind of ahead of its time in a way, but I just don't really jive with this one all that much. So, anyways, Nightmare on Elm 3 is, this one's close. This one's close to an all-timer, but I'm gonna put it in really good. In fact, I'm gonna put it above these two. Come on now. Yeah, I'm gonna put it above. Yeah, it's great. It's just really, really good. It captures so much of what made the original so good. You know, you bring back Heather Langenkamp, which is great. It's got some of the best kills. The marionette puppet where the dude's, you know, sleepwalking. Just a phenomenal kill there. Good characters. I like the whole climax with Courtney... Patricia Arquette. Sorry, Patricia Arquette in the dream world and all that stuff. Really good stuff, and it's got some good Freddy one-liners. This is one too where it's like he's got some good kind of darkly comedic one-liners without totally leaning into just goofball comedy and stuff like that. So yeah, it's awesome. It's the clear number 2 in this franchise as far as I'm concerned. So, all right, Nightmare on Elm 4. And this is one that, man, I had to go back and rewatch my review for this because I did not really remember much about this one. And from what my review said was that the vast majority of it I didn't like, but the last 20 minutes are kind of the saving grace. And so I'm gonna put it in a mid-tier spot. I just remember really liking some of the creative choices that they do in the last 20 minutes. Most of it's unforgettable. I mean, there's a reason why I had to go back and rewatch my review because I couldn't remember much about this one. But I do remember the kill scene towards the end with the where the girl like turns into the cockroach. I just remember the cockroach kill is freaking awesome. Really just weird and bizarre and different, and I really liked it. And so yeah, I'm probably being a little generous there, but the last kind of 20 minutes saved it for me, so I'll put it in the mid. Nightmare on Elm 5, I'm actually going to put in pretty good. And I remember liking this one a little bit more than I expected. I like what they do with the whole Freddy attacking the unborn baby in the womb. That to me just came across as really unsettling and creepy. You know, when she goes to the doctor and you know, gets the ultrasound and they show Freddy in the womb. Man, that's messed up stuff. That's dark. I really like the whole ending sequence too. Some of the stuff with the kid being like the little version of Freddy is not very good. But I remember I really like the whole climactic sequence with like the crazy stare sequence. And the whole ending with Freddy's when he's got all the souls and the bodies inside of him trying to come out and stuff like that. Just some really cool visual stuff, practical effects stuff. And yeah, I just found quite a bit about this one that I enjoyed. It's, you know, so yeah, I'll say it's pretty good. All right, Freddy's Dead. Yeah, Freddy's Dead is horrific. It still might be the worst film I've reviewed on my channel. It's bad. Golly, this movie's terrible. I don't even really want to spend any time talking about it. If you've seen this, you know, it's awful. It's just not good. They turned Freddy into like a Looney Tunes cartoon villain, which sucks. I just remember the sequence where, you know, he's playing the video game and you got, what's his name, Breckin Meyer, like bouncing around up the stairs with like, you know, Nintendo gaming effects, sound effects behind it. I just remember watching that scene and being like, what in the world is going on here? Who thought this was a good idea. It's awful. Okay. Next, we've got Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And this is also going to probably be a bit of an unpopular opinion. But for me, I'm going to put this in mid. I'm not a big fan of this movie. And I feel that the bummer is that there's so much about it that, like, I feel like there's so much about it that should be better than it is, because this is Wes Craven's first kind of attempt at sort of the meta stuff. I like Heather Langenkamp here, but I feel like the movie, it feels like it's missing something because it's so devoid of going into the dream world for the most part. So I really miss that. And my other major criticism is, unfortunately, the little kid actor, man, is not very good to me. And it kind of ruins the scenes that he's in. And I hate sort of trashing on a kid actor, but I have to be honest, it affects my experience with this movie. And I just don't really jive with it. So, yeah, this is one, I've seen it a couple times now, and doesn't work. So, yeah, anyways, it's mid. Next up, Freddy vs. Jason. Let's see, we're going to put this one at pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to put that one at pretty good. This is just big, dumb fun. That's what I said in my review. It's just big, dumb fun. You know what you're getting. It leans into that. It doesn't take itself too seriously. If you want to see just big, dumb fun, this is your movie. Get some cool kills, and then you get all the good, violence in the ultimate showdown between Freddy and Jason at the end. That is just a blast. And so it is what it is. It knows what it is, and it delivers. And yeah, it's a fun time. All right, Nightmare on Elm remake. I'm going to put this one in bad. This one could probably go in dumpster fire, but I will say Jackie Earle Haley in this is actually pretty good. I think he does a good job given with what he has to work with, and so it saves it from being a bottom of the barrel. But it's bad. Rooney Mara in this, and she's an incredible actor, but you can tell she has no interest or passion or desire for this character in this role. And the CGI in here is horrific and has dated this film terribly bad. And nothing about this works. Just nothing about it works, with the exception of Jackie Earle Haley and his performance. Everything else about it just falls flat. There's nothing else to say. It's just bad. All right, here we go. Scream is, of course, going up in the all-timer. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of rearrange these a little bit because I'm gonna try to rank them as we go. So, yeah, Scream. This was, I think, my number 3 on my top 100. I love this movie. I just love it. Randy is one of my all-time favorite characters. Matthew Lillard is freaking hilarious, and I love it. I love the meta aspect. I love the mystery whodunit. It's got a great final girl. All the characters are just really well written, really well acted. It's great. The opening sequence, I mean, of course, is awesome. Yeah, I mean, I love it. What else are you going to say? Okay. Scream 2. Scream 2. I feel like I could borderline put this one in really good. This is like a high end of pretty good or a low end of really good. You know what? Yeah, we'll put it on the low end of really good. Yeah, I just love the world of these movies. I love the world. They're so entertaining. I love the meta aspect. I love the characters. I just so much enjoy watching these movies. And so, a lot of the stuff about the original works so well in this one, but it's not quite, it's not quite as fresh. It's not quite at the same level. There is some really good stuff here. I hate that they kill Randy, dude. It's like if there could be one do-over in horror movie history, it'd be like, Wes, please don't kill Randy. I really like the sequence too where Sidney Prescott is doing the play, and then Ghostface comes out and attacks her while she's on stage. Just a really sort of cool, over dramatic, theatrical type scene that really stands out. Scream 3. Scream 3 to me is... I'm going to put this one in mid. Let's see. I feel like I could rearrange some of these. Yeah, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do... Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Scream 3. Yeah, look, it's a movie that I enjoy more than, I guess, how good it is. Yeah, it's just mid. Yeah, it's kind of one of those movies where it's like it's kind of starting to kind of lose its identity a little bit. It's starting to kind of become some of the things that it's parodying, and again, it's just kind of another notch below where it's starting to get repetitive. It's still enjoyable enough. It's obviously not a bad movie, but it is my least favorite in the franchise. It's still enjoyable. It's just, you know, it's okay. Yeah, that's really all there is to say about it. So, but Scream 4 injected some brand new blood. Scream 4 I'm going to put up here in really good. This is my second favorite in the franchise. I really like Scream 4. I like the character of Kirby. Great addition. I like what they do with the meta aspect here. The opening sequence is really good with just kind of getting into all the, you know, the pre or the sequels and the sequelitis and all that stuff. I like Kieran Culkin's character. I like the brutality of it. This is a movie that I've talked about in my reviews and stuff, but it was filmed in my old hometown. I actually watched it in the theater that you can actually see in the film in some of the opening shots right after the opening sequence when they're rolling credits. You can actually see the theater in the movie that I saw it in. So it's got kind of some sentimental value to me and stuff like that. But yeah, I really, really like Scream 4. So there you go. Scream 5 is going to be, I'm going to put this in pretty good, and I'm going to put it, yeah, I'm going to put it up here. In fact, yeah, we're going to move some of these around a little bit. Yeah. I like Scream 5. I like some of the new characters, like Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera. This is one that, you know, I hate that they killed Dewey. That sucks. It has some good stuff. I don't really like the I don't know, the whole toxic fandom stuff at the end. It doesn't fully land. There are some stuff here that feels a little bit repetitive, you know, that we've seen before, obviously. I mean, you're kind of going to run into that with any sequel sort of thing, but I still overall enjoy it. Yeah, it's pretty good, and yeah, it's pretty good. So, Scream 6. Scream 6 I'm also going to put in pretty good. I did like this one a little bit better. This one would be a borderline really good, but the finale kind of hurt it a little bit. The rest of the film I really quite enjoyed. They just couldn't quite land the finale. I feel like Dermot Mulroney really goes... He goes way over the top. He you know, kind of becomes more of that, like, cartoon villain, just ridiculous kind of stuff. Corny, goofy, and it kind of hindered it. I like, though, that this is kind of looked at as like a legacy sequel where they're kind of getting into the nostalgia and really trying to honor the rest of the films. I really like that. I really like the opening sequence. Really good opening there, the Samara Weaving thing. And then the reveal of Ghostface I really like. Again, like the characters here. I wish they would have handled Hayden Panettiere's comeback a little bit better. I feel like Kirby was kind of inconsequential and I wish they would have just wrote her a little bit better, but overall, still pretty good time. Okay, Final Destination. This first one I'm gonna put at pretty good. This is not by any means my favorite franchise, but this is a franchise that I feel like only a couple of the movies really got the tone right. And these movies need more ridiculous, self-aware, dark humor. And the first film, it leaned too much into the serious aspect of it, and so I still enjoy it. It's still got some fun kills, but it just kind of takes itself too seriously to get beyond that pretty good tier. So, all right, Final Destination 2. I am going to put this one also in pretty good. I do like this one a little bit better than the original film. Obviously, the log sequence, that opening sequence is fantastic. Really, really well done. This one, too, it still suffers from some of the same issues of the original film in that it mostly takes itself too seriously. But towards the end of the movie, I remember thinking that, like, they start kind of realizing how ridiculous and just nonsense this all is, and they kind of lean into that. And so that helps. You have to get the tone right. And when you're dealing with something as absurd as death coming after you in these ridiculously elaborate traps and kills, you got to lean into how insane that all is. And so part 2 starts to do that. So you got a really cool opening scene. And then I like Tony Todd's cameos. And then some of the stuff towards the end, when the one dude gets cut, sliced into pieces with a barbed wire, really fun stuff too. Final Destination 3, I'm going to put at mid. That's probably being a little generous, but yeah, I'm going to put it at mid. This is one that, again, the roller coaster sequence at the opening is pretty fun. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is probably, I'm going to say she's the best actor in this entire franchise, and her performance is probably the best. She's really good, really talented, but all she does in this movie is cry. And again, it plays way too serious, way too emotional, way too dramatic, and it just doesn't need to be. And so this one is, yeah, it's just kind of mid. Final Destination 4. Not good. This is one that there is a bit of an element of so bad it's good, so bad it's entertaining and kind of fun. But that quickly wears off after, 20 minutes or so. This is one that kind of feels boring. This, too, is also really cheaply made. It looks really cheap. I think part of it is because of the 3D effects that they do. It's all really corny and pretty bad. And like I said, there is some of that so bad it's funny kind of thing, but most of it is just bad. So, and Final Destination 5 is going all the way up in really good. This is my favorite one because I think it gets the tone right, it doesn't take itself too serious, and it has sort of the biggest scope, kind of most epic, biggest feel to it. I really like the opening bridge sequence, is a lot of fun. It plays into the ridiculousness of it all. The scene where the girl, the gymnastics scene, is maybe my favorite kill scene in the whole franchise. I love that kill. I also like that they kind of change up the rules a little bit in that one of the characters also kind of plays into death. Like, they use one of the characters to try to kill the other characters to use their time, sort of thing, to get more time for himself. And then it's got kind of a fun little, twist end at the end. So, yeah. All right, Child's Play. Child's Play is going to go up in really good. And let's see. I'm going to put this one right... No, I'm going to put it right there. Yeah. The original is really good. Practical effects are really good. I like the whole showdown at the end. I like I like that they kind of build in some mystery at the beginning to where, you're like, well, is it Chucky or is it Andy? And just kind of that whole suspicion. The reveal where Chucky finally comes alive at the mom and, is really good. I really like the opening, too, of getting Brad Dourif in person. And, he's able to create just such a memorable and crazy character. But, yeah. All right, Child's Play 2 is going to go... Child's Play 2. Ah, boy. Yeah, I'm going to put this one in pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to put this one in pretty good. Yeah, Child's Play 2 is pretty good. I like this franchise. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I definitely like it, but Child's Play 2 is pretty good. The whole finale at the Toy Factory and stuff like that is pretty great stuff. The rest of it, it's enjoyable. I like it. It's just not something I would say is really good. So, Child's Play 3, I'm also gonna put in pretty good. Probably down a few notches. I like Part 2 better than Part 3. I like the change of scenery here. The military academy and stuff like that. You get some good Chucky one-liners. You get some good kills. The whole finale in the haunted house thing is fun. Yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoy it for the most part. Bride of Chucky. This one's gonna go up in really good. And the best part about this, obviously Chucky is great, but then the fact that they were able to introduce a counterpart to Chucky with Tiffany and Jennifer Tilly is kind of incredible, to where their chemistry is about perfect, right? It's perfection. It's great. And so they feed off each other and complement each other about as perfect as you can possibly get. This one's got just some good dark humor, good kills, and the Chucky Tiffany show is a lot of fun. All right, next up, good old Seed of Chucky. Oh boy. Yeah, this one is... yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I was debating to put it in dumpster fire, but I don't hate it quite as much as those bottom three. Yeah, this is one... I feel like Chucky doesn't really have any good kills, and a lot of the attempts at humor here are just pretty terrible. The whole thing where, he tries to kill Britney Spears, just dumb. The Glenn Glenda thing just doesn't really work for me. I don't really find it funny or anything, really. A lot of this just doesn't land. It's not very good. I just don't enjoy it. I don't know what else there is to say. I just don't really enjoy what they were going for here. So, there you go. Curse of Chucky. I'm going to put this one in... I'm going to put this one in mid. Yeah, I'm going to put this one in mid. Yeah, it's fine. It's got some good elements. Overall, it feels kind of repetitive. It feels kind of too similar to the original a little bit. I like Fiona Dourif. I think she's pretty good. But this one is half of the movie you're waiting for Chucky to come alive. And, it's like, we know that's where it's headed. Why did you take half the movie to get there, right? And so it feels like the first half of the movie is totally uneventful and unnecessary, because we're just sitting there like, when are you going to give us Chucky? Please give us Chucky. And you got to wait 45 minutes for that. So, yeah. Cult of Chucky. This is probably going to be another hot take, but I'm going to put Cult up on pretty good. And again, I understand people's issues with this one. Let's see. I'm going to put this one... Yeah, we'll put it right there. I understand people's issues with this one, but I kind of just like that Mancini was like, yeah, screw it. I'm going to just kind of jack around with everything. And at this point, I don't have this super personal connection or nostalgia with the franchise, so I didn't get too ticked off about it. I kind of appreciated that he just tried to do something different, and I like the setting. with the insane asylum is fun. You got some cool kills. I like when the glass falls down and decapitates the girl. Again, I like Fiona Dora if she's good. And I totally get the complaints, but for me, some of the rule changes are I totally acknowledge there it is ridiculous that, now he can transform into anybody with like 2 words kind of thing. So I totally acknowledge that. But as far as my emotional experience or enjoyment with it, it didn't really hinder it all that much. So I kind of enjoyed it for the most part. So anyways, Child's Play remake. Yeah, I'm gonna put this one in mid. This one's okay. Yeah, it's just okay. I don't like the look of Chucky, the updated version. There's some stuff here that's okay. There's other stuff here that it's just mostly all okay. Yeah, it's kind of just the epitome of a mid type movie. So yeah, that's where it's going. All right, let's move on to the Saw films. And the first Saw is going all the way up in top tier. And I'm going to put it right there. Still love the original. Still my favorite. Still the best of the franchise. It's amazing, too, how, like, the film's reputation, and then going back and rewatching it, and you're kind of like, man, this is pretty tame compared to some of the other ones. Most of the other ones, really. But I love the locker room mystery aspect here. Such an interesting and intriguing mystery and story that hooks you right in from the get-go, and still to this day, man, has one of the greatest reveal twist endings of all time. And it never fails to give me goosebumps and put a big old smile on my face when you see Leigh Whannell get the realization of what's happening, and the Saw theme song kicks on, and Tobin Bell starts rising up from the floor, and just Leigh Whannell, jaw dropped, eyes wide. Man, it hits every time, and I love it. Okay. Saw 2 is going to go in... I'm going to put it in really good. Just trying to figure out where in really good. Yeah, that looks about pretty good right there. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's a solid sequel. I like that, again, they sort of bring the locked room mystery element to it. Now you've got a handful of characters. The hypodermic needle pit is still maybe the worst trap, and it doesn't even lead to a death, but man, that one every time is just, oh, it's awful. Really good there. I like what they do. I like Donnie Wahlberg. I like that you really get Tobin Bell now, right? Where he's sitting down, you get to see his character, you really get to experience Jigsaw. And so I like all that stuff with him and Donnie Wahlberg going back and forth. He has such a presence about him, so Tobin Bell's really good. I like all that, and I think the twist reveal is also pretty solid. So yeah, Saw 2, good stuff. Saw 3. Saw 3 for me is... I'll put it in mid, but it's a borderline bad. And this is one... It's way too long. It gets boring. This is almost a 2-hour Saw, which is just way too long. I do like the brain surgery sequence. That's a really fun and good scene. I think the final sort of twist reveal is pretty cool. But the rest of it, it lags. It gets slow and boring. Most of the traps that the one dude has to go through aren't very memorable or all that great, up until the very one where he confronts the dude who hit his kid in the car. That's a pretty good trap. But then Amanda in this movie kind of makes it irritating. She just comes across as this whining, complaining teenager and is really kind of annoying. So anyways, Saw 4. Saw 4, Saw 4 and 5 to me are the hardest ones to remember. These two always kind of blend together, and it's so hard for me to differentiate what happens in part 4 and what happens in part 5. But part 4 is the one where Donnie Wahlberg, I know, gets like captured and is on that block of ice. This is the one that has the really jarring, like ridiculous editing in it. I'm gonna put this one in mid. It's fine, but you know we're at the point now in the franchise where, like I said, they're kind of starting to blend together. It's getting repetitive. There's not much here that really stands out or separates itself from the others. But yeah, I'm gonna put it. I'll put it like right there, I guess. Saw 5. Man, what happens in Saw 5? Oh boy, I'm trying to remember. It's another one it's just kind of mid-tier. It's hard for me to remember. I know too, because most of what's going on here is you get flashbacks with John Kramer that feel totally unnecessary and inconsequential. And again, this is another one that's like, it's all right, it's fine. It's kind of forgettable though. Saw 6 is, for me, I'm gonna put in pretty good. And we'll put it right there. I like what they do with the insurance thing. I think it's interesting. It's compelling. So I like Tobin Bell in here. I like what they get him, his conflict with the insurance, and then I like the trap that the insurance agent has to play, where it feels like you're getting into kind of just the more ethical, moral conundrum of it all. And while it's not, really deep and thought-provoking, it does have something a little more there than the majority of these. And so it kind of just makes it a little bit more interesting and worthwhile. So I have a pretty good time with Saw 6. Saw 3D. This is one that I could put in dumpster fire, but this is one that, for the most part, it's so bad it's good kind of thing. And the 3D stuff is horrible. It's so corny and cheesy. The whole ending with Cary Elwes is pretty awful. It's just terrible. I can't stand Hoffman too, as I'm not a Hoffman fan. So where do I put this one though? Because there are some elements of it that I enjoy because of how ridiculous and over the top the 3D is. And I will say too, I kind of actually do like Sean Patrick Flannery's storyline in this. You know what? This might be crazy, but I'm actually going to put this at the back of the pretty good. So, yeah. Jigsaw. Yeah, Jigsaw, it's not a total dumpster fire, but I'm not a fan of this one. Yeah, this was such a missed opportunity, and they don't do anything new. They don't do anything different. The reveal here sucks. It's like, hey, we jacked with the timeline again, and, what you thought was happening didn't really happen when you thought it happened, and it's just bad. I just don't enjoy this one. I think, yeah, it's my least favorite Saw movie. So, there you go. All right, we're pressing on. Spiral. Spiral, yeah, we're going to put Spiral in mid. We'll put it up towards the top. I like it. Chris Rock, definitely, he's kind of hit or miss. When he gets more into the dramatic stuff, his performance isn't quite as good. When he's able to kind of let loose and just kind of flow with some of his comedy and improv type stuff, it's a little bit better. This is a movie that feels like, obviously it's a Saw-ish type movie, but it feels like it's trying to do Seven, but is nowhere near as good. So it has some decent elements. The twist reveal is, I think, pretty obvious, and so it's not very effective there. It's fine. It's a mid movie. Saw X, surprise hit of last year, is going all the way up and really good. This is my second favorite in the franchise. I'm going to put it right there. Yeah, this was such a pleasant surprise. just a great idea to go back into the timeline and get us a movie that largely focuses on Tobin Bell. Has one of the best traps in the whole franchise with the dude picking out his brain matter, and it shockingly and unexpectedly injects brand new life into this franchise. And yeah, it's really good. I like it. Okay, Exorcist. Let's see. Exorcist is going all the way. Yeah, it's an all-timer. It's great. I actually have a video on my channel of my first time watching live reaction, because I actually just watched this movie, if you can believe it, for the first time within the last year. And it's incredible how well it holds up. The performances are great. The exorcism scenes are phenomenal. The practical effects are great. It's just really effective and really, really well done. And 50 years later, this thing still packs a punch. So there you go. All right, Exorcist 2, everybody. Exorcist 2 is an absolute horrific dumpster fire. And, you know, this is a movie where you kind of just watch it and you go, what in the world were the filmmakers doing and the writers doing? Like, what are they even trying to do? What is going on? What is this supposed to be? And it's baffling. And I still don't really totally feel like I know. The hypnosis stuff is not effective. The performance by the main lady who plays Nurse Ratched, I can't think of her name, it is really lackluster and kind of dull. The whole finale is dull. The stuff with the locusts is just kind of stupid, and it's just kind of boring too. It's all around pretty awful. There's no elements in this movie. There's nothing about this movie that I enjoyed at all. So it's terrible. Okay, Exorcist 3. Come on, where you at? Where'd you go? Whoa. Here we go. Exorcist 3 is going up in all-timer. And maybe another controversial opinion, but this is my favorite film in the Exorcist franchise. I loved this thing. And the reason why I like it a little more than The Exorcist, I'm not saying it's a better movie. It's certainly not more influential. I just personally prefer more of a serial killer murder mystery than a demon possession movie. That's just my own personal flavor. George C. Scott in this is phenomenal. One of the greatest jump scares of all time. I love the mystery element. And man, I wish William Peter Blatty directed more films. This is fantastic. It's just so well done. Loved it. Exorcist, the beginning is going in bad. Just so many terrible, generic horror movie stuff in this. Jump scares galore that are awful. Bad effects that are awful. This is a movie that clearly was focus grouped to death, and Hollywood producers got their hands on and tried to meddle in something, and it's just all the worse for it. It's forgettable. There's nothing about it that is worth talking about, and it's terrible. It's just bad. It's bad. Dominion, I'm actually going to put in pretty good. This is a film that Paul Schrader, right, was trying to do, and I wish the studio would have just let him do his thing, because there is, I think, a pretty interesting character study here. This is a pretty interesting character-driven film, and I wish the studio would have fully backed his vision, because they withdrew the funds, and so he didn't have the money he needed to like fully, make the film that he wanted to make. But what we got, I still think, is a pretty good film. And so it thought-provoking, and he leaned into the character of Father Karras, and I liked what he did, and I wish this is kind of one of those movies that you kind of think about what could have been if the studio would have backed it. But anyways, the latest Exorcist is going in bad. It's bad. It's an insult to the original film. They you might as well just slap Ellen Burstyn in the face. The whole climax is not very well executed. Um, so much of it's just not effective. And yeah, it's just bad. I don't know what else to say. It's just bad. All right, here we go. Texas Chainsaw is not going in pretty good. Texas Chainsaw is going all the way up right here. It's an all-timer. I love this movie. I just love it. It's so fantastic. Go watch my ranking video of these if you want more thoughts, or my review for it for that matter, but it's phenomenal. Got some of the best kills. Leatherface is fantastic. This is a film, I'll say it again, I've said this like 3 times now. This feels like a real found footage movie of this psychotic backwoods Texas family. That this is a video. The movie it looks and is presented in a way that it feels like this belongs in a police evidence locker. It just feels gross, and it feels like something you should not be watching, and I love this film. It's awesome. Texas 2. Yeah, I'm gonna put this one mid. It's all right. Most of the humor doesn't really connect or land with me. I think Bill Moseley as Chop Top is clearly the best thing about it. Thoroughly enjoyed him every time he was on screen and his performance. The rest of this movie, it's just Dennis Hopper isn't very good here, and like I said, most of the humor doesn't really land. But Chop Top is the saving grace. Leatherface 3 is bad. This movie is just boring. It doesn't do anything memorable. It doesn't do anything that you're going to remember 5 minutes after having watched it. So, yeah, it's kind of the cardinal sin. It's not egregiously awful, but it's so boring and unmemorable. So, there you go. Next Generation. This is a dumpster fire, but it's a movie that I got some entertainment out of because Matthew McConaughey is a pleasure to watch. Where do I put it? I'll put it in mid, because most of it is actively bad, with the exception of Matthew McConaughey, and then you get the last 20 minutes of the movie, which are so completely bonkers and ridiculous, you kind of just have to watch it because of how completely insane it is. So, yeah, I'm going to put it mid. The remake. The remake for me is, let's see. Yeah, I'll put it at pretty good. I enjoy it. It's one of those things to where it doesn't really need to exist. It doesn't do a whole lot, different than the original, but it is one of the better remakes. It is well made. I like the new Leatherface just in terms of his physicality. I think Jessica Biel is good. The best final girl out of, in the whole franchise. So it has some good elements to it. So for the most part, I enjoy it. The Beginning, I'm also going to put pretty good. This is another one. R. Lee Ermey, for both of these two, is a good character. Really like his performance. He fits these films really well. This one has, likable enough characters. It's got some gnarly scenes, where Matt Bomer's getting his face cut off with Jordana Brewster under the table. Some gnarly stuff. I like the push-up scene. Yeah, it's pretty good for what it is. Let's see. Oh boy. 3D. Texas Chainsaw 3D. Yeah, I'm gonna put this at dumpster fire. It's bad. Yeah, there's not really anything here that I enjoy. It's all around just pretty terrible. And the worst offense is this. The note this movie ends on is so ridiculous, where Daddario is basically just like, hey, you're family, so let's be friends now. I'm going to take care of you and provide for you, even though you just murdered all my friends. It's so stupid. And the fact that they try to turn Leatherface into a victim that you're supposed to sympathize with, it's inexcusable. Leatherface. Leatherface is going all the way up in really good. This was a pleasant surprise, and I just liked how different it was. I liked the totally different approach, the different settings. It feels so unlike a Texas Chainsaw movie, and it's a breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed this. there's just a lot of good stuff here. All the different scenery, it's got some good kills. Still have some issues with it. You know, the reveal about who Leatherface is, who Leatherface is kind of like meh. And so, you know, it's by no means, it's obviously not an all-timer, but it's enjoyable. I had a good time with Leatherface, and so it was breath fresh air. Okay, last film. We've made it to the end, everybody. And unfortunately, it's like we're saving the worst for last. The new Texas Chainsaw is a dumpster fire. It is infuriatingly stupid. And I said this in my review, I said this in my ranking, and I will say it again. When you have Sally Hardesty come back, waiting 50 years for revenge, going into Leatherface's house with her shotgun out, and there he is on the bed with his chainsaw away from him, and she doesn't pull the trigger, is so mind-numbingly infuriating. What else is there to say? You know, just pull the trigger and all this is over. But no, she wants to have a conversation with the guy, and then she gets all butthurt because he doesn't remember who she is, and then she lets him walk out the door. Inexcusable. Just awful. So, anyways, there you go. Let's see if I can zoom out just a little bit. There it is, everybody. There is my tier list for all 66 movies for all 8 franchises that I have now reviewed on my channel. This was a beast of a video, but I hope you enjoyed it. So anyways, there you go, everybody. There it is. That's all I got for you. Hit me up down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know where I'm crazy and out of my mind. Let me know where you agreed with me and all that good stuff. Would love to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching. Greatly appreciate it. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.